Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? So, there's been a lot kind of going on in the news, but I haven't found really any of it too interesting because it's kind of the same stuff, different day. But what is interesting to me is the stuff that's going on in Britain right now. They've got a lot of riots and protest and people throwing bricks at police, and it's a pretty crazy situation going on over there. So, kind of just wanted to give you my thoughts on that a little bit. And personally, I think it's pretty simple. So, what's been going on is for the last, God, 20 years? Now, I mean, not that long, but at least 10, Britain has been allowing refugees, quote unquote, and just unmitigated immigration into their country for God knows why. And I mean, they're allowed to do that, but it's going to change their country, whether they like it or not. And so, what will happen is these migrants, they'll commit crimes and then they'll get let off very easily. And we're not just talking like, oh, they went shoplifting or something. There's like, uh, because we can't say these words on YouTube, SA, um, and graping and a whole just terrible sexual crimes and murders and things that you do not want. And they'll just get let out. They won't, they'll rarely go to prison. Meanwhile, they'll harshly punish their own citizens by, you got a knife there? You got a license? Can't even have a knife. Obviously, you can barely have guns. I think they allow you a shotgun if you get the graces of their majesty over there. I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's very difficult. So defending yourself is not allowed practically. And this has been going on and going on and going on. And finally, we had this one story about those three little girls that were going to, I think it was a Taylor Swift dance class. They get knifed to death by not by a young boy who is black, but his parents are migrants. So whether or not you want to blame him or, this on migration, that's not the point. The point is that was the last straw because this has been happening for years. So that was the last straw. And people are streaming out, protesting, getting violent at times, rioting because they're sick of it. They've had it. And what do the politicians over there say about it? They say, oh, well, we do not support these. Go inside. If you don't, we'll arrest you. Some of that I think is right, but they're not acknowledging the problem, though. They even have, I've seen articles with sheriffs or whatever you want to, constables, whatever you want to call them over there, saying, if you support this from across the seas, we're going to try and arrest you and extradite you over here. I'm like, nice try, buddy. But let me go over this article, just kind of give you the other side of what they say over there. This is a Reuters article. Anti-racism protests sweep Britain after far-right riots. So this would be like a counter-protest, right? So first of all, notice how they're framing this. This is already fake news, okay? They're framing this as far right. So anything that's not communism is far right. If you're the left, or if you're to the right of Stalin, you're far right. There is no middle ground. If you're not completely on board with everything the government wants, you're far right. All right, so it says Britain's been hit by a series of riots that erupted early last week after three young girls were killed in a knife attack. Remember those things that you're not allowed to have? Yeah, well, apparently you can have them if you're a migrant. In Southport, northwest England, triggering a wave of, quote, I want to air quote this, false messaging online that wrongly identified a suspected killer as an Islamist migrant. Yeah, he was natively born there, but his parents were migrants. So these anti-racist protesters were made of Muslims and unionists and left-wing organizations. Notice how they don't call them far left. They're just, they're normal. They're left-wing. Everybody has the right to do what they need to do, but what they must do is put their voices across peacefully and amicably without any stress or violence. I agree, you shouldn't do that violently. You shouldn't riot. But again, it's ignoring the reason why the people are pissed off. And until they address that, until they say, okay, we're going to start cracking down on immigration, we're going to start doling out the rule of law. It's just like what's going on in San Francisco there. San Francisco is a shithole, okay? San Francisco, I just saw an article, let me see if I can find it, on the Bongino report here. It was about how the last Denny's in San Francisco, let's just do a control F here. Denny's, there it is. The last Denny's in San Francisco is closing down over everyone just eating the food and leaving. So they're like, okay, we can't afford this anymore. We're just going to leave. We're done. So, like San Francisco, where all the businesses are leaving because people are committing crimes, like they'll go into Walgreens or CVS, which they've left in droves. They just steal a bunch of stuff, and because the DAs there won't prosecute anyone that has $1,000 or less, they just won't prosecute them. So now you have crime that's rampant. So until Britain cracks down on the crime and throws people in jail and starts cracking down on migration, you're going to continue to have these riots. You're going to continue to have these people. And I saw other videos of protesters saying, oh, well, this is Tommy Robinson's fault. He's the one that's stoking these groups. Tommy Robinson, if you don't know, is a English journalist. That would be like blaming Tucker Carlson for stoking MAGA. It's all his fault that MAGA has so many people that like Trump, and the Trump people are going to take over. It's like, no, Tucker Carlson might support this stuff. He might report on it, but he's not the one that's responsible for it. He's not the ringleader, okay? It's just a bunch of people that are pissed off and have had it. Let me see if there's anything else that's interesting in this article. I didn't really go through the whole thing. I just kind of wanted to show you the other side of this, that there's more than just one group. It's everyone has just had it. And frankly, in my opinion, this is going to be America in 10 years if we don't do something. Europe is just the US, just they're ahead of us. They have escalated. They've taken it already to where it's going to happen if nothing is done. Let's see. Your prime minister, who's facing his first crisis since winning, has warned rioters that they would face lengthy jail terms. I mean, like I was saying before, we don't want violence. It's not good. Don't be throwing bricks at police, and don't be them. Be like the Martin Luther Kings, where they had the Million Man protest, right? But everything was fine. The J6 was fine until the feds started stoking people to do stuff. Here, even these people admit it. Migration to Britain was a major factor in its 2016 vote to leave the EU. So this migration thing was a problem even in 2016, and it was one of the major factors of Brexit, if you can remember what Brexit was all about. So they've been having this problem for a long time. They've been their own country, so they're out of the EU, and they still aren't doing anything about this. And I'll tell you, this is my last stream of conscious thought here, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. The reason why I think this is happening, not just in England, but everywhere else, Australia, not Russia, but the rest of the EU for sure, France, Germany, especially Germany, Sweden, is because the end goal is globalism. Now, I was watching Nazmangold video. He was talking about how globalism is the want for a global culture, and I disagree with that definition. Globalism is the New World Order, essentially. It's world government. It's a takeover of all the nations into a one world government, the New World Order, if you will. Until these nations are destroyed from within, we can't have a global government. How do I know it's going to be a global government? They've been trying to do it since the League of Nations after World War One. All right. I'll see you guys later.